Hey guys, welcome to Pet Rambles. I'm Pet and today I'm going to ramble about why is it so hard for me to make videos about Discworld books. I mean, I made videos about books before, right? I mean, some of them were spoiler free, which is hard to do. Some of them are a little bit more deep dive, which is also hard to do, at least for me. I mean, I don't have the best words when it comes to speaking about books, especially since I'm very much, I just want to share my opinions about something that I've read, let's put it like that. And if it's something that I enjoy, I would want for you to enjoy it also. So I'm going to tell you about why I enjoy it, spoiler free, just so I entice you to read it and maybe to see if it's something that you would like. Same thing when I want to deep dive a little bit, like some of my videos are more like you read the book yourself and then you are coming over here for another opinion, let's put it like that, which is also fine. But with Discworld, I've been struggling because this year I read a couple of Discworld books. I'm writing the scripts, I'm writing the scenarios, like what I want to talk about, yet it's hard for me to hit record. So I'm trying to speak about Discworld without speaking about books. I think I know why. I think finally I just finished Feet of Clay, and I think I know why it's so hard for me to hit record and speak about Discworld. And I kind of want to make a video about it and then maybe get some feedback from you or something. I don't know what. But initially I wanted to make a video about how I'm, at the beginning of the year when I started officially with this channel, I wanted to make a video about how I'm feeling like a hack. Because for years I've been recommending people about Discworld, yet I've only read about 4. And then I've read about 3 more, and this year I read about 5 others more or something like that. I will go over on the list what I've read. But you know, like I kept telling people, oh, hey, do you know about Discworld? Oh my God, Discworld is so funny. But I've already read like 4 books or something like that. And not only that, but I like Discworld that I even got a T-shirt with that. My living room centerpiece is this map of Discworld. In my office, I have another print from Discworld universe, and you know, with the map and with the print, you know, I kind of made, I won't say I made a mistake, but I kind of didn't calculate it that it's going to be a bit problematic because the sizes of the prints are not up to standard. So I had to create some custom frames for the prints themselves, which were about 130 euros for the frames themselves without the prints. But yeah, anyway, for this I've been telling people to read about Discworld because it's so fun and so on, and yet I've here only read a couple of books. But there is also a reason for that too, which, you know, I think the whole thing with Discworld is that it's so complicated, yet one thing at a time. So first time when I found out about Discworld was in 2004, I think it was April or something like that. Me, White Addy and Fila were traveling to Iași. So Timișoara, Iași, this is the hunger train, the popular hunger train here in Romania. And Adi was reading Color of Magic in Romanian. And I remember seeing the cover, and I remember he telling me about the luggage. And I was like, oh, okay, Discworld is interesting, sounds interesting. And this was in 2004. And I tried to read Color of Magic in about 2007 when I got the Romanian edition, the one that he was having. And I couldn't read it. It was so poorly translated. I was like, I think this is wrong. It feels wrong. You know, sometimes when you're reading something in your native language, you do not feel that it is wrong when it's translated because you don't know the original, right? And I was like, this feels wrong. Something is not catching up. And so I started to read online about what people are saying about the translation, and I saw some obvious mistakes. It was like, just to give you an example, in English it was, Ricewind wasn't much of a wizard. Which is obvious, it wasn't much of a wizard. He was a wizard, but he wasn't a very good one, right? In Romanian, the translation was Vânturache era pe jumătate vrăjitor. To translate again, so they translated the Ricewind to Vânturache. I'm not sure why people have this tendency to translate names into something that, anyway. It's kind of like Ricewind was half of a wizard. Pe jumătate, half. Which doesn't translate that he wasn't much of a wizard. It translated that maybe he hasn't completed the training yet, right? So it's saddled. So the thing is that I couldn't read in Romanian. I read the Gnome trilogy. I forgot how it's called, the Diggers trilogy in English. I read it in Romanian. That was cute. It was fine. You know, that's more of a straightforward story, let's say. But for years, I couldn't touch it until in 2013 when I bought Color of Magic and Guards. And if I'm to see them dated 21 June 2013, and Guards, I think it should be on the same date. No, it's March, 5th March 2013. I think it's because when I was looking on what book to start with in Discworld, because there are 41 books in Discworld, but there are a couple of, let's say, story lines, let's put it, and I decided to read about the City Watch, and Guards is the first in the City Watch series. So yeah, I've read them, and English is not my native language, as you can tell, and I was reading, like, I kind of understand vaguely what they're talking about. I got a couple of jokes and so on, but I still had problems with it. So I finished both books. Color of Magic was okay. You can feel that it's the first one. But Guards, I remember even back then, I laughed out loud at some of the jokes that they were there. And I kind of got the context in general, but there were still things because, there are words in Romanian. There was some description about some hinges in the attic or something like that. And I was like, I don't know how those are called in Romanian, but I don't know the English word for it. I was like, I kind of vaguely think they are talking about that. Anyway, so for years I stopped reading Discworld, but I kept telling people about Discworld and how great Discworld is until I got a Kindle. And now I stopped with the Kindle. I got the Kobo and I started to reread things again. But with Kindle and with e-readers in general, it was pretty fresh to reread Discworld books again, because if I don't understand the word in English, I can tap the word and it will tell me in the dictionary what that word means. However, you still need to know some English in general because of the context. And we're getting closer and closer at why it's difficult to make videos about Discworld. You still need to understand the context. And now that I'm much more older, I kind of get the context much better, which maybe it's not ideal because, again, the thing with Discworld books is that they are very fun to read. You can read them, you can laugh out loud, you can read you can see the story, but the thing is that they have a nuance there, they have a substrate, they have some political and social commentaries there, but it's not always in your face, but it can be in your face, let's put it like that. So yeah, for years I stopped reading, but I started to reread things again. So in 2021 I read Equal Rights, which was okay. This is part of the Witches books series. This was okay. I've been told that it gets better in the upcoming ones. Then I've read Mort, and Mort I absolutely loved. Mort was so funny. This is the first book out of that series. That is a character in Discworld, and yeah, that's always good. I'm eagerly waiting to read the upcoming ones. I have them. I will show them in a second. That is always kind of like struggling with identity stuff and so on. And in this first book, he wants to get an apprentice because he wants to chill a little bit, and he's letting the apprentice do dad's job, and things turn crazy, basically. But the thing with reading them on Kobo, at least. So yeah, as I was saying, in 2021 I've read those two, but I've also read Going Postal, which is the first book from the moist Voin Litzping, or I would say you call it, which it was more about the postal services, and it was also very fun. I don't have the book in print yet. And then in 2023, I believe, I tried to read The Light Fantastic, which is the second book of the series, but I kind of got bored with it. And this was kind of it, right? And last year I kind of got this eager to read a lot of stuff, and I bought a lot of books, and I've actually last year I've read a lot of books because I'm also combining listening to the audiobook and reading at the same time, which helped me read and understand Discworld even more because it's easier to focus when I'm reading. I enjoy how the characters are being acted on and so on. And because I'm reading on Kobo right now, I'm kind of like, it's a new toy with colors and so on. I will make a video about my Kobo Libra color soon. I like to take annotations with books and with the jokes, and with each book that I've read and I wrote the script that I want to talk about, I also have like funny quotes and whatnot that I want to mention, which is adding more in my overthinking, because you know this is a video about overthinking mostly. So yeah, at the beginning of the year I was like, let's read the best. What are the best Discworld books? Generally, books, as I've said, they are filled into. They can be read independently, but it's a good idea to follow like a structure. Like if you want to read more about death, you start with Mort. If you want to read more about the Guards series, the City Watch, you start with Guards, right? But I was like, I kind of read Guards. That was my decision years ago. I will read the City Watch series because I find it funny, and about the City Watch. And I made a video on my older YouTube channel about the Discworld artwork, and I have a lot of characters drawn up, and it was funny to see them, and I was like, yeah, City Watch it is. I kept reading about the best books that people consider in the series, and Night Watch, which is the 6th, 7th, maybe 7th book in the series. People say this is one of the best. I was like, okay, let's read it. And I've read it, I enjoyed it, but not at its full value, because I kind of realized that I made a mistake. As I've said, the books can be read kind of independently, and it should be fine, but this is a book where the character is, Sam Vimes, one of the main characters, he's traveling back in time, before Guards, kind of. He's meeting a lot of the characters that some of them I don't know about, because I haven't read the second and the third book and so on. It's also kind of like a good idea to get more immersed into the characters by reading the other books before you come up to this book. And I was like, fine. I took my notes and I was like, I'm not going to make a video about it. I'm going to start again by reading. I also have the hardcovers here in case you haven't noticed. I'm going to again start reading Guards again. And this is the first book that I've ever reread. I think. I don't reread books. I rewatch movies, I rewatch TV shows. I generally don't reread books because they take a lot of time to read. And there are so many other books that I want to read that I don't have time to. But with this combination of audiobooks and reading at the same time, I can listen much faster than I'm reading with, and it's allowing me to go faster through the books. Even that, this is a little bit tricky with Terry Pratchett books, which I've learned while I was reading Men at Arms. Terry Pratchett is not using chapters, and sometimes you read a paragraph and then the second paragraph you see a little bit of white space, and then you get a big chunk of another paragraph that's some action in some other part. It was very hard to follow, which is the reason why I haven't really enjoyed Men at Arms. People say that Men at Arms is one of the best. I spent 80% of this book confused, and I only gave it 2 stars. 2.5 stars because of the characters. They are fun. But yeah, I also wrote the script and the things that I want to talk about, and about how and why I didn't enjoy it that much. And I want to mention that how I will reread this later at a later date, and then I will update my review. But yeah, it didn't come to that because of me overthinking everything. So I was saying, what was I saying? I was reading Night Watch, and yeah, you can see how it's good, how it's more refined, because Night Watch came out in 2002, I believe. So he had a good number of Discworld books under his belt. He kind of found his spiel on how to write things, right? Then I've read Men at Arms, which I just told you about. Second book of the series, found some new characters. Then I'm not going to go into spoilers and so on and so on. Didn't enjoy that much. Learned that I need to pay more focus because of the action, how it's changing. I need to pay more attention. So even if I'm listening to the audiobook, sometimes it's better to just chill a little bit and not listen at 1.5, maybe listen at 1.2. 1.2 is generally the speed that I'm reading through. Then I've read Small Gods, which is absolutely love the cover. I also got it in hardcover there, the green one. This one. This one is independent. It's I I mean, there are two parts of the ancient something, pyramids, and then this one. This is independent. This is a good book. If you don't want to get bothered with Discworld and so on, and maybe you want to read something in, you read Small Gods. The thing with Small Gods is that I actually wrote it down because maybe the most controversial, with quotes, might be Small Gods, a book that explores the nature of belief, the power of organized religion, and the relationship between gods and their followers. Terry Pratchett, it's talking about religion here and there and gods because there are a lot of gods in the world of Discworld, bigger gods, small gods, and this is where it's kind of treating that. But again, I wrote the script, I wrote everything, kind of what I want to tackle, but it's a book that's pretty deep. We are getting closer and closer why it's hard for me to talk about Discworld. It is like with all the books, they can be enjoyed at face value. You just read, you are entertained, you laugh, and then you move on. But again, you kind of get social commentary. In this book, as I've said, he talks about religion, talks about belief, he talks about how it talks with the great god Om, small god Om, he's a small god, and great god Om, yeah. But Broda, he's the only believer. So this god only has one believer, and he's the true believer. The rest of the people are kind of like, how to put it? It tackles stuff related to the Inquisition, let's say in real life, where people are believing because they are afraid not to believe because they get burned up and stuff like that. So as you can see, it's kind of like not at face value. You can read it, you can be entertained, but right now, because I'm older, I can understand context better, I can understand nuances in various things. It's hard for me to just focus, oh yeah, this was just as enjoyable good, because I see some of the things that the book is trying to talk about indirectly and sometimes directly. But I'm like, I don't think I'm smart enough to follow good sentences and tell you what I think of. Like with other books, I can go like, hey, yeah, I didn't feel about that and about that, and for me it didn't click. But I feel that I need to be more like smart on how I'm telling you why this. I don't know. I'm overthinking, and I know that I'm overthinking, which is annoying me, because I could just make a video, move on, read all the books, make a video about all the books so I can have a library and be like, hey, and then 10 years from now, come and reread those books again. Because one thing that I realized with Terry Pratchett books is that, as I've said before, plenty of times in this video, you can read them at face value, but later you can reread them and you can find things that you haven't seen before. And I've seen that with Guards when I read it in 2013. I've noticed some things, but now, later, I found out about other things that I missed in the first one. And it's a pretty great one in Guards on how I do have the exact code that I've saved, and I was planning on sharing you the exact code when I'm going to make the video. But it was like at the end of the book. No, it's not a spoiler, so chill. At the end of the book, after the whole resolution, two characters were talking, and it was about how, I don't know how to put it exactly, but how the good people, they always rebel and they get out the bad people, but how the bad people or the bad leaders, let's put it like that, they kind of have a vision on how to do things, and the good people kind of don't have a vision, and they are good at rebelling. They rebel, they get the bad leader out of power, and then they get bored that no one is taking out the trash, or that they complain because it's something like that. So I remember reading the paragraph, and it was so well written. I was like, whoa, that's a good point actually, because I've seen that in real life. And now the book that I finished reading last year, last week, it was Feet of Clay, which kind of triggered this video because I finally realized why it's hard for me to talk about books. This book speaks, again, because it's part of City Watch series, they are kind of investigating some murders. Something is happening and so on and so on. In this book, golems get introduced, and golems, they are kind of like AI, they are kind of like robots, they don't have a soul. They are just made of clay, they have some words in their head, and they just work relentlessly. So this book, indirectly or directly, depends how you want to take it, it's speaking about slavery and how the book, the golems, are actually living because they have thoughts and so on and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to spoil you, but this whole thing at the end of the book, without giving you spoilers and so on, he's kind of like an atheist, and he wants to debate the religious leaders logically, and it's kind of like which is true, because it's even speaking now how atheism is a religion, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows people who are like they want to talk about, hey, if you're a true atheist, you just don't care about it, you just don't believe, and you don't care about it, and you move on. But there are those people who are like, oh, why, what, you're an Orthodox, God, blah, blah, blah. They immediately want to push their own agenda of a non-believer, of an atheist. So atheism itself becomes a religion. So it was really funny when I was reading this at the end of the book. Like, I do enjoy this character right now, and I want to see how this character is going to turn out in the future books, and so on and so on. So again, as I have said a couple of times in this book, in this video, the books are fun to read, they are enjoyable. You laugh out loud at some of the things that Terry writes. I think in Men at Arms, I don't remember the context, but it was something like, he's thinking in italics, and italics was in italics, like the letters, the characters were slanted a little bit like that. He's thinking in italics. So he's doing a lot of those jokes in words, though this play around with words, which is why it's important for you to read it in English than how he envisioned it. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, I think this is the reason why it's hard for me, because the books are fun, the books are enjoyable to read, but there are nuances that I want to speak about, but then maybe I'm not feeling smart enough to speak about all the things that I see there. I don't know. Anyway, I do have Soul Music, second book I believe in that series, or the third book, Reaper Man, third book of the series with that. And I've seen, because there are a lot of books that I haven't read, people use this term that in soul music, it's like Discworld is doing rock music. In this book, Discworld is doing printing newspapers. It's kind of like each book has kind of like a theme of kind of like they are doing things. At least this is something that I've read online, and I can start seeing this. I got Weird Sisters, which is the second book of the Witches series. I will read it at some point. And then I also got The Fifth Elephant, which is the fourth book, I believe, or the fifth book, I kind of mixed them up, of the Guard series. I think this is the next one that I will read, unless I find out that Jingo is the next one. I also love the color on this one. So yeah, I'm not sure what to read next. As you can figure it out, I'm way behind of the books. Like as I've said, years ago, I've read Color of Magic, The Light Fantastic, Guards, which I've also read, Equal Rights, Going Postal, and Mort. I do not plan to make videos about those yet, because I plan to reread them, take notes, take annotations and so on, and then when I'm going to make a video, I'm going to also show you annotations and so on. But this year I've read Night Watch, Guards, Men at Arms, Small God, and Feet of Clay. And I took notes. I could speak about them a little bit, yet I'm not making a video about them. I should at least try to make, with Guards, and I've tried to record Guards twice. I spoke for 15 minutes, then I started over, and I spoke again for 15 minutes, and then I stopped. Like, I don't have a flow. I don't know how to say, what to say. Because I was planning to make Guards kind of like an introductory series also, because whenever people are coming to my, let's say, Feet of Clay video, which is the third book, right? You don't read Feet of Clay without reading the others. You don't watch that video. So I was planning to send people to the Guards and give people more about introduction about Discworld and so on. And I started to overthink again, and I stopped. When at Arms, I was planning to make it a little bit shorter, because I haven't enjoyed that book that much because of the confusion and so on. I was planning to only talk about the characters. Feet of Clay, I've just finished. Small Goats, that's a lot of depth there. But and then of course Night Watch, which I will reread after I read the other Jingo and The Fifth Elephant, and I get to it again. Yeah, this is kind of me rambling about me having problems with overthinking, basically. How should I approach this? Help me out. Because I know I've been, making videos decent videos, let's say, about other books. And I know that practice, you know, the more videos I make, the easier it will be to me to make the videos, to kind of like already trying to split the videos up into not full on rambling. I mean, Guards video was too rambling for myself, even that the channel is called Pet Rambles. That's the main idea with me rambling around, but I still need to have some structure of how I'm planning to do the videos. So generally when I'm trying to make a video about something, I'm kind of like trying to give you a context, who would this be for? And then you continue watching if it's something that's in your area that you might enjoy. I'm kind of trying to give you more content than just start to talk about. I'm also been overthinking on how I'm kind of like in a new setup, but here down I also have my vinyl records. As you can see, it's only a part, there is more there. I've only started to make videos about books, but I'm planning to do videos about the music that I'm enjoying, but I'm also stuck on overthinking there. And I think my next video might be about how I'm organizing my collection, just to put it out there, and maybe people will give me some suggestions to maybe how to reorganize some things, because I'm at that point where I don't have room on some things and I need to move things around. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this. See you soon. Goodbye.